welcome back to our channel. Today we bring you the exciting and surprising developments of The Young and the Restless, which aired live on Thursday, February 27th. While romance and intrigue are gradually exploding at Newman Enterprises, another tragedy is brewing far from the spotlight of luxury and power. Sharon and Phyllis, two women who have had a decades-long history of hostility, are now imprisoned in a dark space, where every passing moment threatens their lives. The story begins on a dark night, when the darkness hides a cruel plot. Sharon and Phyllis wake up in a cold room, with dim neon lights flickering, creating a suffocating tension. The windows are covered, not allowing any natural light to enter, as a warning that this place is not for the faint of heart. The two quickly realize that they have no choice but to cooperate if they want to survive the night. However, past memories of bloody confrontations, cruel words, and power struggles have complicated their relationship more than ever. Sharon, with her cold, dashing personality and always knowing how to use her intelligence to overcome any situation. Meanwhile, Phyllis is the opposite of Sharon. Phyllis is resilient and stubborn, never easily giving in to anyone. The kidnapper, a mysterious and ruthless character, has set up a sick game with only one goal: survival. Every move and every word of Sharon and Phyllis was closely monitored. Every passing minute was a carefully calculated number, as if their fate depended on a cruel bet. In that narrow space, the ticking of the clock sounded like the heartbeat of death, reminding them that any mistake could lead to a horrifying outcome. The kidnapper gave them cold orders, requiring them to perform reckless challenges, pushing them into unimaginably risky situations. In that game, the only reward was survival, but the price to pay was the self-esteem and secrets that each person had kept hidden for many years. From the very first minutes, the atmosphere between Sharon and Phyllis became stifling. Phyllis, with her stubborn personality, did not accept any instructions from Sharon, considering it a denial of personal honor and power. "I don't need anyone to give me orders, especially not from someone I once considered my sworn enemy," Phyllis declared, her voice echoing in the room, mixed with anger and confidence. Sharon, although she understood the other party's personality, still could not accept such a challenging attitude. She quickly stood up, her sharp eyes filled with determination, and replied, "Phyllis, we don't have time for useless arguments. If you continue to be stubborn like this, it will definitely make the situation worse. Our survival depends on this cooperation." Sharon's words were like a warning, but it was also just the beginning of a tense confrontation between two women who were already familiar with intense conflicts. In that moment, all the hatred and contradictions were clearly revealed. The cold room seemed to become a battlefield between two souls, where every word, every gesture carried fierceness and difficulty. In the heavy atmosphere, Phyllis suddenly made a decision that could change the game. With a determined expression and unwavering eyes, she declared that she would carry out a reckless plan on her own, a risky action that she believed would give both of them a chance to survive. "If we don't act now, no matter how good our cooperation is, it won't save our lives. I have a plan, no matter how risky, it's the only way to get out of here," Phyllis affirmed, her voice filled with determination. No one could deny the sharpness in Phyllis's words, but that was why Sharon felt helpless before that recklessness. She worried that such a risky decision might make things worse, putting them both in more danger than ever. "Are you sure this is the right path? You know, every step we take is calculated and monitored now. One small mistake could cost us our chance of survival," Sharon said, her voice laced with worry and tension. Sharon's reaction was not just one of disapproval, but also of a deep fear of the unforeseen consequences. Although they knew they were facing an unfavorable situation, Sharon believed that careful consideration was needed before taking any action. She tried to persuade Phyllis to think again, to find a safer option, but Phyllis had decided to follow her own path. The atmosphere in the room became increasingly tense, as if each passing moment was as heavy as a dark prophecy. Sharon and Phyllis, two characters who had been sworn enemies, now had to face the harsh reality of life and death. Their confrontation was not simply a personal conflict, but also reflected each person's internal struggle between pride, self-belief, and survival. Phyllis moved closer to the small window, where the faint light of the street lamp outside seemed to invite a glimmer of hope. "Maybe you're right, that we have to take a risk. Life and death are sometimes just a bold decision away," she whispered, her voice full of meaning and a desire for freedom. But at that moment, Sharon suddenly grabbed her arm, trying to stop her dangerous step. "Think again, Phyllis. If we are discovered while trying to escape, everything will no longer be ours. I fear that your decision will not save us, but only put both of us in a more risky situation. Sharon's warning echoed in the space, but it did not shake Phyllis's will. She replied with a cold gaze and a determined smile, "Sharon, we have been through too many trials, and I cannot accept dying slowly with fear. Perhaps you have never understood the meaning of freedom. If the safe path is to wait for death, then I choose to risk life." The words were like a spark, heating up the cold air in the room. The two women, despite their different personalities, were both deeply aware that this was a fateful turning point. Phyllis's decision, despite its risks, might be their only chance to escape the kidnappers' clutches. But that same reckless action might be the heavy hammer that hit both of their hearts, pushing them into the abyss of hopeless despair. When the kidnappers suddenly intervened in the conversation, the atmosphere became even more chaotic. The sleazy laughter mixed with the cold threats of that person rang out, reminding Sharon and Phyllis that they were just pawns in the enemy's brutal game. They had to make a decision quickly, not only for their own survival but also because they believed that, in the heart of the enemy, there was always a way out for those brave enough to take the risk. Is Phyllis's reckless decision really a savior or just an elaborate trap that will put them both in even greater danger? Sharon, fearing for her life, silently tries to find the smallest clues possible to decipher this deadly game. In every moment, every breath, they struggle together with fear, tension, and fragile hope. A long moment of silence, broken only by heavy breathing and pounding heartbeats. Both women seem to read each other's moods, a subtle but contradictory sympathy. Sharon knows that, although she and Phyllis were sworn enemies, in this situation, only cooperation can open the path to survival. She gently says, "Phyllis, although we have too many differences, perhaps this is the time to put aside the past and focus on the present. If you agree, let us think together and come up with a new plan, a plan that no one could have foreseen." Phyllis, looking into Sharon's sincere eyes, hesitated for a moment, as if she too was hiding a desire to regain the trust that had been lost. But the nightmare of the kidnapping game still threatened, giving her no time to think. "I will follow my plan," she declared, her voice fierce but her eyes still sparkling with hope. "If this is the only way for us to get out of here, then I am willing to face any danger, even if it means sacrificing everything." As the darkness gradually gave way to the first rays of dawn, Sharon and Phyllis stood at the crossroads of fate. The kidnappers' game continues, but in that moment, they find a glimmer of hope, a strong will to live that transcends all personal conflicts. Phyllis's decision, however reckless, may be the key to unlocking the door to freedom. Or perhaps, it is just a misstep that plunges them both into the depths of despair. The question still echoed in the cold space of the room: will Phyllis's decision save them, or will it make things worse? Sharon, with her enthusiasm and sharp intellect, still silently wished to find the optimal solution, a strategy that both ensures survival and minimizes risks for both. She knew that, in life, nothing is simple, especially when the past and a generational feud are mixed with life-threatening challenges like this. In those decisive moments, faith, courage and sacrifice became key factors. The two women, who were once sworn enemies, were now forced to cooperate to survive. The road ahead was still obscure, full of traps and dangers, but in their hearts, the small ray of hope never extinguished. Sharon and Phyllis's story is a testament to the complexity of human beings, where hatred, self-esteem and emotional wounds can be replaced by faith in a new future, if there is enough courage to take risks and forgive. And in that moment, between the gasps of survival and the echoes of the past, a desperate decision is made, a decision that can save them from death or send them into a spiral with no way out. As the alarm sounds from the corridor outside, Sharon and Phyllis look at each other in silence, as if both understand that this is not just a battle for life and death, but also a turning point that marks the change of a whole life. Whether Phyllis's decision will be a stepping stone to the future or the source of tragedy, that remains an unknown in this deadly game. In that fateful moment, they are no longer single women with conflicting pasts, but warriors fighting together against fate, searching for a way out in the darkness of nightmares. No matter what the final outcome will be, only time will tell. But one thing is certain, in this cruel world, every decision carries the weight of an entire universe, and every step, whether reckless or safe, can be the turning point that changes their destiny forever. Stay tuned to our channel to update the most shocking and dramatic developments of the ongoing drama.